I was 6 years old, I broke my leg.
So the way
I was
I usually like to
running
start these
from
is
my
kind of a little bit fun
brother and
questions,
his
and
friends.
gonna go with the rest of the questions here.
Okay.
So if you could choose your favorite home cooked meal, what would you choose?
Probably my mom's sweet and sour meatballs.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. Especially with the sweet and sour side too. Ooh.
Been a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so
What's yours?
yeah. So mine, oh, I love the chicken cutlet. Don't know what it is. But yeah, I know there's like a good place right down the road from here that has it really good. So I've always tried to beat it when I tried to cook it. But yeah, it's just when it's homemade, do it myself, got it what I want right on it. So
There you go.
yeah, no, definitely can't beat it by any means. So in terms of more like the baseball note, whenever we look, into the season or it's just getting started, especially at this point of the year, like we are just talking about, getting ready for those finishing touches for the season to start. How does the organization, like essentially, like so talking about the players here, how does the organization go about really getting the players to be on the team, scouting them, to dealing with them as the season's about to start and through the season too?
Well, it actually starts as soon as the season ends. We start getting calls from coaches and such, like right after the season ends, and going into fall ball. That's why you have to have a great relationship between the front office and your coaching staff, because most of the time your coaches will talk to the other coaches and such, especially at this level. This level is a little less intense, obviously, than the pro ranks. Um, so the college coaches they all know each other and they talk, and hey, I've got this kid coming on board, or and then right after, midway through fall ball, we really get ramped up, and hey, this kid is gonna needs it's gonna need some more reps and such. And so the preliminary roster is pretty much done by, I'd say, Halloween, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
And then you just kind of fill as the kids drop and go, or and then you have last minute, and so you overstaff the roster because you're gonna have fallouts and dropouts and such, and kids will enter the transfer portal, and
Mm,
from there. And so right now, and then once the season starts, the collegiate season starts, your coaches keep an eye on it and on the roster to see who's doing what, see who's getting at bats, and then if a kid got hurt, we'll have to find a replacement, or they're just not doing what they need to do, and the coach will call us and say, "Hey, I'm not sending them," or the athlete will go, "Hey, I'm this is my last summer before I have to enter the big bad world type situation. I decided I'm done." All right. Or a kid really came on strong and being scouted by a major organization and thinks he's going to get drafted, and he'll pull himself out. So it's just a matter of keep an eye. I talk to my coach probably once or twice a week, and he's keeping a close eye on who's doing what in school and stuff, and we go from there. So it's all building relationships at this level, with the collegiate coaches, and finding out that good mix of kids. And unfortunately, some of it has to do with your host family situation. If you don't have a whole lot of host families, you got to go more local, and try to figure that out. Also, you got to keep in mind that the season starts, May 24th, and a lot of the high major D1s are just finishing up their season and going into conference tournaments. So if you have a lot of D1 high majors, they're not going to be here at the start of the season, especially if they make the tourney. So you have to
mm.
find some local talent to fill in until those players get here, and those players usually will leave early because of fall ball and stuff. And so you got to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, that's huge too, especially like you said, just that relationship side. No matter what we do in the sports industry, it's all about the people and like what you know, who you know. It's all valuable. It's all gold for us in a sense.
It's not as big as a world as you think it is. It really is a tight knit. Sports entertainment in general is pretty cylinder, and everything will come back around and stuff. So you gotta just keep those relationships open and don't burn any bridges.
Exactly. And especially speaking to like a little more of that entertainment side, in terms of the game day experience for you guys, what does that look like? As soon as fans, come in and until the time they leave.
Obviously some of the bigger clubs have a little more staffing, a little more metro area, so they can put a little more into their production. A lot of it's your typical minor league game day experience. You have the hoopla, the coming in, the bands playing, the smell of concessions, in between inning promotions. Some clubs go a little crazier than other clubs. Some clubs are a little more, their fans a little more purist, so they do a little bit less. But it's all the atmosphere. It's really minor league baseball in general, and especially the summer collegiate league. You really gotta. It's more about the entertainment, because we're all competing for that disposable income. Whether it's bowling alley or movie theater or a water park or indoor or Chuck E. Cheese. There's only so much disposable income, and parents need to figure out how they're going to spend it.
Exactly. Exactly. And it seems like every team, has like a challenge or two, and then of course like a lot of successes with it. So even if it like challenge may be like a rain delay, um, or just some kind of weather delay or anything along those lines, like how would you guys manage something like that? Like especially in like today's environment too.
You stay on top of it. You got to stay on top of the weather. The Berkshires, there's a little strange. I mean, because we're surrounded by mountains here, so sometimes it looks like it's coming at us. We'll break apart as it hits the mountains and go around us. Otherwise, we'll form literally on top of us, and we'll have no notice, and the sky will open up, and then we're done. At that point, you can't do anything about it. You just live on to play the next game. 2 years ago, when I was out here, we had a lot. Probably I think it was like the third or fourth wettest summer they've had out here, and we lost a lot of games because of the weather. Last year was really dry, and we had one rain out last year. So it's just a matter of watching the weather, listen to the locals, the people who live here their whole life. They know what the weather is going to do, the way the clouds are and stuff like that. And so you listen to them, and then hopefully you have enough people to tarp the field, and um, you go from there. So it's just, and then while you're in a rain delay, is keeping everybody active. I'm a little bit more challenged here. The fact that my grandstand is not in use, so it's not a whole lot of places people can go to get out of the weather. So in a rain delay, I usually will just probably call it, because there's no place for anybody to stay dry, and so
Mhm.
we'll just call it. I'll go to the umpiring crew and say, hey, we just need to call this thing because it's not going to be worth it. So let's just go.
Okay, and those are always so fun too. Those tar pulls, because I've had to do them a few times on my end. Because I went to undergrad down in North Carolina. Worked for a minor league team down that way, and literally opening day that season, tar pull right off the bat. And the president always told us, make sure you bring extra pairs of socks.
Socks and shoes. I'll be honest with you, shoes are important too, because let me tell you, that clay gets wet and it stinks.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And those shoes you don't get the smell out of those shoes. So I tell everybody who works for me that, bring your tarp shoes and the extra pair of socks, obviously, because um, just you rip off the socks and just go barefoot, and because it's going to destroy your shoes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like you're spot on with that too. Talk about stanky. Like gotten home a few times. My family's looking at me like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah. It's great. It's fine. It's just,
Yep.
like I said, just a clay." So,
Yep. It's pretty raunchy.
and so I know we are talking about like just a minute ago about like the locals, like we said with the weather and how does the team kind of get involved with the community? What does that look like in your guys' front?
I, Once again, it's the community is the team. Without the community, there is no team. And so we're out there. I mean, obviously, COVID threw everybody for a loop, and we're still somewhat struggling to get back to whatever normal was pre-COVID. Just now starting to see the schools letting us go into the schools with the players to hang out with the kids, talk to the kids, read to the kids. The July 4th parade came back last year here, and having the players, in the parade, getting with the school districts for our education days. The school districts are our best friend, and because you have the captive audience, and you got to get, kids, as you know, and everything, kids direct their parents where to spend their money. And so if we can capture the kids, then we're good. Being involved in the local chamber of commerces, going out, frequenting the local establishments, especially your sponsors, going out and spending the money with your sponsors, getting your people, the kids, the athletes, hey, go, I know y'all are going out after the game, go to XYZ place because they sponsor us, type situation. So, I mean, it starts from the top to the bottom, just being fully immersive in the community, and, listening to them. Locals know what they want. We're a little bit different because we do have a large tourist base come here, start, the end of June, beginning of July, from elsewhere in New England. But until that point, I can't survive waiting for those people to get here. I have to get the locals in, and I'm very fortunate that Pittsfield's got such a historic baseball background that they want baseball. They yearn to have baseball here, so it helps out.
Yeah, for sure, and that's so true. I did a tiny bit of reading on the history of out in Pittsfield, and it was pretty cool. Especially I read a little bit about the stadium itself and just how historical the stadium, the facility alone is. And that was really neat to look up too.
It's still one of only 2 stadiums in the country that has a sun delay.
Right. That's
So, it's great for concession sales. The players don't particularly care for it, but it's a home field advantage for us because you can tell the way the weather is going to be, whether we're going to have it or not, and then I can tell the coach and say, hey, you need to scrap the starting pitcher and just start with your relief, and then insert your starting pitcher at the second inning because we're going to have a sun delay today.
Right.
So
that's cool, and that's a nice little perk, like you said, right away. Okay, this is how it's going to go.
Yep.
Definitely use that to your advantage for sure. And so, as my final question to start wrapping things up, I know the game of baseball or the sport of baseball can mean something a little bit different to everybody. So I wanted to see what you thought. What does baseball mean to you?
Baseball means freedom. Baseball means, and more than just the sense of the word, it means that we're outside. There's freedom from being inside after a long winter. Baseball is, my brother is in the Army, and it means what he's out there fighting for. The ability for these student athletes to play this game, to go on potentially to bigger and better things, for the kids, that they were, for them the ability to come out here and play a game, potentially make a living doing it, or not, just getting an education doing it. So baseball means freedom to me.
Yeah, and tell your brother thank you for his service too. It's definitely much appreciated, and yeah, I love that too. Because especially like I said, just the ability to just go do it.
Yes, sir.
And just to be able to, like I said, after a long winter, hey, it's finally back. Let's go play.
Yes, sir.
And there's nothing better than that. So I want to thank you so much again for your time. It's definitely much appreciated. And definitely want to keep the conversation going too. I know you've been
country lanes,
yeah, of course.
when we